In the name of Allah, most gracious, most merciful, peace be upon you. Apologies, I speak slowly. To speed up this video, click on settings bottom right of this screen, then click on speed and select a suitable speed. Okay, I was looking up this Imam Mahdi because he was saying some interesting things. I know I did discredit him a little bit last time I created a presentation about Imam Mahdi's, but I actually think that perhaps he has given some good advice to Muslim rulers on his website. So without further ado, okay, so he's made some points and I've merely copied and pasted his points, and so I'm going to repeat them in my presentation because he's just put up the literature. So he said that you meet all rulers of the Muslims, the Arab of them, and the foreign. You'll have to forgive him because whoever does the translating isn't very good, okay, so I may hesitate in a few places. That you meet all rulers of the Muslims, the Arab of them, and the foreign in Kingdom of Saudi Arabia, in the honoured Mecca, centre of the earth and the universe, and Allah's exalted house of worship. So you would announce the decision of expelling all American ambassadors from the entire Arab Muslim countries. Okay, so basically he's saying that all the Muslim rulers need to meet in Saudi Arabia and perhaps make a decision to expel all American ambassadors from their countries. So that's the first thing that they need to do. The second thing they need to do is boycott entire America's commercial goods and all the American weapons and their aeroplanes. Purchasing weapons and aircraft from North Korea, Germany, Venezuela and the Christian countries, the opposing and abhorring Trump and his allies. Surely that is a major economic blow to the arrogant Satan Trump. So instead of he would build the American economy, he is the reason for the collapse of the American economy. So I've only taken, throughout this presentation, I've only actually taken a small section from his speech, and he calls Trump a Satan, which, you know, meets my approval. There are other Satanists in America, including George Bush and Clinton family, Kissinger family, but this is a start. So what he's saying is that the countries, well, the Muslim countries should collectively boycott all American goods and weapons and their aeroplanes, and they should actually purchase weapons and aircraft from countries that oppose America. Now he's included North Korea, Germany, Venezuela and other Christian countries that oppose America and its allies. I'm not sure if Germany opposes America, to be honest with you. So I would recommend boycotting them. I suppose at the moment we could buy from Russia. But anyway, so that was his second point. Okay, so as you've probably realized, I'm reading what was written word for word and then perhaps trying to explain what he meant by it. Strengthening all Islamic economy for all Islamic Arab countries and those abroad. So he's talking about strengthening the Middle Eastern countries and those that are outside the Middle East during overnight and the morning of it. So only the unification of all the currencies of the Muslims to the Islamic one coin. So you would make in one its front side the image of Al-Aqsa Mosque and the other side the image of the sacred Grand Mosque, Masjid I prefer to say, and that is a bigger slap to all the enemies of Islam and Muslims. So all the countries with majority Muslims that consider themselves to be Muslim countries should very speedily unify all their currencies into perhaps a silver or a gold coin. On one side we will have the Masjid al-Aqsa, and on the other side of the coin would be the masjid from perhaps the Kaaba from Mecca, and he considers this to be a slap in the face of the enemies of the Muslims. Okay, so point 4, the agreeing on a unified Islamic defense system for all Muslim Arab countries and the foreign, he means those abroad, and sanctity of their holy places. So you would agree on a unified defense for the security of an Islamic state, equally Arab or foreign, to become all the Muslim countries as one body. If it complained about an organ from it, the rest of the body caves in with staying awake and the fever. Okay, so he's talking you know, an Arabic language or a Muslim / Asian language, and interpreting it as such, and so in English it sounds odd, but I'll explain. So what he's trying to say is that there should be a unified Islamic defense system to protect all the Islamic countries, including those in the Middle East and abroad. So they should agree on a unified defense for the security of this truly Islamic state. And so all the Islamic countries become one body. And so if anyone is harmed, then the entire body suffers together, and the entire body behaves as one, taking action against the disease that is causing harm. Number 5, that you prepare for them what you can of force and material. Modern warfare you scare with it the enemy of Allah and your enemy, Trump, Putin, Netanyahu, and others whom you do not know yet. Then Allah wards away from you their evil wickedness, and they die in their rage, and all their plans would fail, and Allah would destroy them with the planet of chastisement, him alone if he pleases, and Allah is the command from before and after. Alhamdulillah. So if you read what he says earlier on, he believes that Trump and Putin and Netanyahu actually are together plotting against the Muslims. Now, God knows if Putin is to be trusted or not. I have absolutely no idea. At the moment, he seems to be a good guy, but I've listened to a few people that are unsure. Perhaps he might be the Trojan horse or something. So he is suggesting that we be wary of him as well as Trump and Netanyahu, who were quite obviously against the Muslims. And he suggests them maybe people who we don't even know about yet, perhaps people in the shadows that are against us. But truly it is Allah who is the protector, and then he curses them, the evil people, that they die in their rage and their plans would fail because Allah would be the ultimate protector. And he also suggests that there is a planet of chastisement approaching. Now, I've heard non-Muslims talk about Nibiru, or they might give it some other name. But this gentleman, he believes that it is a planet of chastisement, and it will only punish the people who are torturing and making believers suffer for no reason besides the fact that they have belief in the one God. So, and I believe that, you know, Imran Hussein, God bless him, he believes that there will be nuclear bombs and people will be, you know, dying in the millions and billions because of the nuclear bombs. But I don't really feel that. I feel that the punishment will be from God, and it will be against the evil non-believers who are just killing other people willy-nilly all over the world. So the sixth point I'll read out first and then attempt to explain. Discarded behind your backs all your sectarian differences and leave it for the Imam Mahdi Nasser Muhammad al-Yemeni and scholars of the Muslims, and I promise a promise not to be failed, with Allah's permission, in solving the entire sectarian differences of scholars of the Muslims, and that I would dominate over them with the authority of knowledge altogether, with Allah's judgment from the decisive Grand Quran and the true prophetic Sunnah. So I make them between two choices: either you follow Allah's book, the Grand Quran, and the true Sunnah of his messenger, and I do not think scholars of I've just lost my place. And I do not think scholars of the Muslims will believe in Allah's book and the true Sunnah of his messenger, but they fear from their kings, their princes and presidents of their countries from ratification and acknowledging in Imam Mahdi Nasser Muhammad al-Yemeni, for the fact they think that he will take away the kingdom from the kings of the Muslims, also their princes, and their presidents. Oh, glory be to Allah, since when Allah would take away the kingdom of who followed the true call from all leaders of the Muslims, so would Allah take away from them their kingship, while He promised in His decisive book, the Grand Quran, in His word, the Most High. And when your Lord made it known, if you are grateful, I will give you more, and if you are ungrateful, my chastisement is truly severe. Truthful Allah the Great. So he's quoted the verse from Ibrahim, chapter 14, verse 7. I'm going to repeat the translation. And when your Lord made it known, if you are grateful, I will give you more, and if you are ungrateful, my chastisement is truly severe. So, basically, in this point, he's asking people to give up any sectarian differences, not say that you are a Sunni or a Shiite or a Wahhabi, anything like that. Just become a unified body of Muslims. He's also suggesting that the scholars recognize him as the leader, and they shouldn't be afraid of the rulers of their country if they were to accept him as a spiritual guide. Basically, he appears to be a spiritual guide, but he's actually giving some very good advice from my perception. And he's also informing the presidents and the politicians and the kings or any type of ruler in these Islamic countries that he is not after their position, and also that if they accept him, then God will give them more. So I don't know, do we need to accept him as a spiritual guide to start taking his good advice? If someone's talking sensible, and sometimes I've talked sensible and people have taken on board my ideas, it's, and they haven't recognized me as the person that they adopted the ideas from. Does it matter? It doesn't really matter, does it? You can take on the good ideas and perhaps have a little secret respect for the person. Perhaps you don't even have to say it out loud. So he continues, even if all kings, princes and presidents of the Muslims did not believe, surely by no means and never, that the Imam Mahdi Nasser Muhammad al-Yamani would fight any of them over his kingdom. In fact, the kingdom, if for Allah, he would grant it to whom he pleases. So if the leaders of the Muslim countries and worlds refuse to follow, surely Allah will chastise them an exemplary chastisement. So they would acknowledge in the Imam Mahdi Nasser Muhammad al-Yamani altogether, and they would submit, handing him the kingdom fully. Then we replace on their thrones a people other than them. So basically, this is a bit of a warning that if they don't take on board his ideas, then, Allah may will it to replace their authority. And Allah can punish people or leaders with another leader that may come in and overthrow them. Or, America might start attacking, because they have made the decision to go around hammering each Islamic country in turn. So I think it is in the best interest of these leaders of Muslim countries to become united. So let's see what he says. And that's a command from Allah in his decisive book. For if they do not believe and follow except after the passage of planet chastisement, the fact they did not believe in Allah's words and followed the true call from the Lord until came the chastisement of a destructive way, has Allah returned his Khalifa Adam to his position after he forgave him and his wife. So if they don't obey God's instruction and unite in terms of Islamic countries, don't boycott America, then as the planet of chastisement passes, then they would be likely to receive destruction as well. And then I don't completely understand this bit. Has Allah returned his Khalifa Adam to his position after he forgave him and his wife? So be of the grateful, O community leaders of the Arabs and the Muslims, that Allah sent the Imam Mahdi Nasser Muhammad al-Yemeni in your era and in your nation, and follow Allah's book, the Grand Quran, and the true prophetic Sunnah that is not contrary to the decisive book of Allah, the Grand Quran, and be brethren, servants of Allah, and enter into full peace among yourselves, abiding to Allah's command to you today in his decisive book, in the word of Allah the Most High. O you who believe, enter into complete peace and follow not the footsteps of Satan. Surely he is your open enemy. But if you slip after clear arguments have come to you, then know that Allah is mighty, wise. And so those are from chapter 2, verses 208 to 209. And he says that those verses that are from Truthful Allah the Great, and they definitely are. So basically we need to act peacefully towards each other, and as I said, it seems like really good advice to me. Okay, it continues. O community of the best foremost supporters in era of dialogue before appearing, let the focus on this explanatory statement by delivering it through the worldwide internet to website pages of the kings, princes and presidents of the Muslims intensively, and be sent from all regions among the worlds. But when comes a report of receiving by any office of a president, then you stop the deliverance of the explanatory statement to him after confirming the getting the explanatory statement to this website or to his page or to his mail, and after it will bear the responsibility whoever concealed it from his king, of the managers of the website and pages of the presidents and kings. So here basically he's saying, he's asking the people who support his cause in the era of dialogue. What he says is, this is the era of dialogue, this is the time of the warning, because when God or Allah does chastise a people, he always sends a warner. So there is always an era of dialogue, and this is the era of dialogue and warnings. So it's the responsibility of everybody to get the message to the kings and the princes and the presidents and so on and so forth. And if anybody tries to hide the message from leadership, then they will suffer the consequences in this life and the afterlife, and they will be cursed. So I'm going to jump further down to where he says, confirming with the word of Allah the Most High those who conceal the clear proofs and the guidance that we revealed after we have made it clear in the book for the people. These it is whom Allah curses, and those who curse them too. That's chapter 2, verse 159, and that chapter continues, except those who repent and amend and make manifest the truth. These it is to whom I turn mercifully, and I am the oft returning to mercy, the merciful. So that is a quote from the Quran, from the truthful Allah the Great. And so he just wrote the end of that, and peace be upon the sent ones, and praise be to Allah, Lord of the worlds, your brother Khalifa of Allah, and his servant, the Imam Mahdi Nasser Muhammad al-Yemeni. So, yes, basically there he's saying that we all have a responsibility to spread his message. So before I give my final thoughts and prayers, make my prayers, I just wanted to say that I did used to think about how the Muslims can go forward because they're suffering a lot and they're just getting bombed here, there, everywhere, and there's so much confusion. And I think, and we all know that there needs to be unity. We need to give up these divisions, and there has to be unity to one ummah, to one people who act collectively, who boycott evilness, who stay away from evilness, who do not communicate with evilness. And that's what we need to do. And we need to pressure our rulers, wherever they are, whoever they are, to stay away from evilness. So, I pray that Allah guides us, protects us, and gives us peace. I pray that Allah guides the Satanist, Antichrist, the Gog and Magog, and the devil to the straight path. I pray that the ultimate success be that all creation unite for truth and justice, and humans understand that they have little wisdom compared to Allah, and they also have little mercy compared to Allah. Allah is the most merciful, and I hope these vegans realize that as well. Again, I pray for guidance and forgiveness. I pray that the children are a source of peace for the parents, and the parents a source of peace for the children, and I pray that I am a source of peace for all, and may I achieve martyrdom defending the vulnerable. Allah Hafiz and Allahu Akbar.